Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the ceremonial procession as our chief guest and keynote speaker, Professor Kemal Dean, guest of honor, Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga, Vice Chancellor, Professor M.D. Lamavansa, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhujit, and the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, Professor Vasanthi Pinto, accompanied by the academic staff and students of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya, enter the premises. Thank you. You may now take your seats.
You may now take your seats. A very good morning to all of you. We are indeed honored and delighted to welcome you to the third Peradeniya Medical School Annual Research Conference 2024.
A very important day has once again dawned on our faculty as we commence the third edition of this conference with the hope of building a legacy that will continue for many, many years to come.
PeMSARC is a collaborative effort that is made possible by of all facets of Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya.
And thus, we hope that through these efforts, this flame of innovation and youth will be kept alive and unquenched for generations that are yet to arrive at this very place that we all hold so dear.
So, with that thought, let us proceed with the rest of today's program. To honor the esteemed institution that has provided us with so much, let us all rise again for the University Anthem.
We kindly request that you remain standing, as in keeping with tradition, it is now time to light the traditional oil lamp. Hence, we now cordially invite the following dignitaries to light the traditional oil lamp.
Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, Professor M.D. Lamavansa. Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhujit. Guest of Honor, Emerita, Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga. Chief Guest, Emeritus, Professor Kemal Dean. Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya Dean, Professor Vasanthi Pinto.
An invited dean representing the deans of all other faculties of our university, Professor Manjula Artigala, the Dean of the Faculty of Dental Sciences. An invited director representing all postgraduate institutes. The conference chairperson of PeMSARC 24, Dr. Samidhi Navaratna. The conference secretary of PeMSARC 24, Dr. Manjula Pires.
Conference treasurer, PeMSARC, Dr. Kaushika Gunasekara. President, Candy Society of Medicine, Dr. Manjula Herath. President, Peradeniya Medical School Alumni Association, Professor Heshan Jayavira. Representing the directors of Teaching Hospital of Peradeniya National Hospital Kandy and Sirimao Bandaranaike Specialized Children Hospital.
Director of the Teaching Hospital Peradeniya, Dr. Arjuna Tilakaratna.
Clinical Coordinator, representing Extended Staff, Dr. Padma Kumara Udapamanuwa.
Student Chairperson of PeMSARC 24, Mr. Ganesham Nadarasa.
Medical Faculty Student Union President, Mr. Hirushan Ranasinghe.
We would also like to invite the Registrar of the University of Peradeniya to light the traditional oil lamp. We would also like to invite the Faculty Registrar of the Faculty of Medicine to light the traditional oil lamp. We would also like to kindly invite the Deputy Bursar of the Faculty of Medicine to light the traditional oil lamp. Thank you very much, sirs and madams. You may all now be seated.
Let us now witness the students of batch 22-23 of the Faculty of Medicine Peradeniya invoke the divine blessings for this event with a spectacular puja dance.
Tatyanaadi Nubakara, Jityanadi Mahipati, Tongyanadi Padamulena, Nanyanadi Sakagraha, Takaro Meganadas, Chikaro Asvanadaka, Tonkaro Kumbhari Jaiva, Nankaro. Tamnana tanena tanena tam Deitana tanena tanena tam Tamnana tanena tanena tam Deitana tanena tanena tam Tamnana tana Deitana tana
Thank you for that mesmerizing performance.
PeMSARC was initiated by the staff and students alike of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya, with the goal of inspiring students and academia to further develop their skills and interests in the world of research. It also aims to provide a platform for students to present their research projects and further inspire them to pursue research and contribute to the world of academia.
To relive the events of last week, where the pre-Congress workshop of PeMSARC 24 was held on themes of bridging the gaps of healthcare and AI, let us now turn our attention to the screen to witness a short slideshow.
The Peradeniya Medical Faculty possesses a rich academic history and is the alma mater of countless fine clinicians and researchers. And with PeMSARC, it is in the hope of our distinguished staff and our fellow students that we shall continue to produce impactful research into the distant future of our faculty and our nation.
Before moving on with the remainder of this session, we would like to cordially invite the following dignitaries to the head table. Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, Professor M.D. Lamavansa. Guest of Honor, Emerita, Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga. Chief Guest, Emeritus, Professor Kemal Dean.
The Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya, Professor Vasanthi Pinto. The Conference Chairperson for PeMSARC 24, Dr. Samidhi Navaratna. And the Conference Secretary for PeMSARC 24, Dr. Manjula Piris. We would like to now invite Dr. Samidhi Navaratna, the Conference Chairperson of PeMSARC 24, to deliver the welcome address.
Distinguished guests, faculty members, students and participants. Good morning. It is my honor and privilege as the conference chair to warmly welcome you to the Peradeniya Medical School Annual Research Conference 2024. We are deeply honored to have our alumnus, Emeritus Professor in Surgery, Kemal Dean, as our chief guest and keynote speaker. Professor Dean's distinguished career and pioneering work in the medical field have profoundly influenced the healthcare community. His insights and expertise promise to enrich our conference with invaluable knowledge and inspiration. Sir, it's a privilege to have you, and thank you for accepting our invitation and taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. The enthusiasm shown by all our colleagues, particularly your trainees, the surgeons, was actually palpable. And I, of course, realized why when I met you personally today. It is also a pleasure to welcome the guest of honor, Emerita Professor in Pathology, Neelakanthi Ratnatunga. As our very own alumnus and retired academic staff member, we are delighted to have her with us. Her illustrious career and contributions to pathology make her an invaluable part of our community. And we are truly honored by her presence. Madam, you already know how happy we are to have you with us today, as I have communicated the same to you a couple of times. Thank you very much for making today's event extra special with your presence. I would also like to extend a special welcome to our Vice Chancellor, Professor M.D. Lamavansa, who is gracing us with his presence on his penultimate day as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya. Professor Lamavansa has been a stalwart supporter of advancing the research culture within our university. His contributions towards promoting and nurturing research activities, including his unwavering support to PeMSARC, have been instrumental in our progress. We are deeply grateful for his leadership and vision, which have greatly benefited our academic and research endeavors. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. A warm welcome to our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhuchit, on his penultimate day in his current role. We are thrilled to congratulate him on being elected as the next Vice Chancellor for the upcoming 3 years. We wish him immense success in his future endeavors as he continues to elevate our university in all aspects, including research. Sir, we are indeed happy to have you here with us today and hope you will continue to work closely with the Faculty of Medicine during your tenure as the Vice Chancellor of this prestigious institution. Next, I would like to extend a heartfelt welcome to our Dean, Professor Vasanthi Pinto, who has been a pillar of strength to us since the inaugural conference in 2022. Her loving yet strong personality, kindness, empathy, and quick yet suitable decision-making ability have been instrumental during the planning phase. Madam, it is with much pleasure that I welcome you to this gathering. Thank you for making this conference brighter with your presence. A warm welcome to the deans of other faculties, the Director of PGIMS, Professor Samath Dharmaratne, directors of other postgraduate institutes, the Registrar, and the Bursar of the University of Peradeniya. We are delighted to welcome the presidents of PeMSARC, Professor Heshan Jayavira, and the Candy Society of Medicine, Dr. Manjula Herath. While gratefully acknowledging the prizes sponsored by PEMSA and KSM for the best undergraduate research projects conducted under the Communication, Learning and Research stream. A special thank you goes to the sponsors of the pre-Congress workshop held successfully on the 22nd of July at the Faculty of Medicine, PEMSA UK. Especially the President, Dr. Ashan Gunaratne, whose support has been invaluable in ensuring the success of this conference. A warm welcome to all current and past academic staff members of the Faculty of Medicine, hospital directors, and members of the extended clinical staff who have gathered here today. I also want to acknowledge the leadership taken by the academic staff members of the Department of Community Medicine in our undergraduate research endeavors. Finally, a warm welcome to members of the non-academic staff and all the students and participants who have gathered here today. This year, we are proud to feature 42 undergraduate research presentations. PEMSARC is special, because it is collaboratively planned and executed by academic staff and medical students, providing students with invaluable experience in organizing a medical conference and fostering closer ties between students and faculty members. The total experience of planning, implementation, and dissemination, as well as organizing this conference, will undoubtedly enhance their academic journey and prepare them for future roles as medical professionals, researchers, and innovators. I would also like to express my deepest gratitude, although it's our conference secretary's job at the end, to the organizing committee for their tireless efforts and dedication. Your hard-working and meticulous planning have been the backbone of this conference, ensuring its smooth execution and success. Now, on its third successive year, this conference serves as a crucial platform for our faculty, undergraduate and postgraduate students, academics, and the wider medical community to showcase research, exchange ideas, and foster collaborations that transcend conventional boundaries. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend my sincere appreciation to all authors, reviewers, and contributors for their scholarly work. I also wish to thank the Dean and the organizing committee and the sponsors of the social event for their unwavering support. Your dedication ensures the sustainability of PeMSARC, making it a premier platform for research and innovative ideas. Remember that the art and science of asking a question is the source of knowledge. Being inquisitive is the foundation of research. So I encourage all of you to keep a critical, inquisitive mind and enjoy the fellowship and learning that PeMSARC 24 has to offer. Thank you for being a part of this conference, and I hope you find this conference both inspiring and enriching. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for those kind words of welcome.
A guiding pillar to aid our every step. It is now our great pleasure to invite Professor Vasantha Pinto, the Dean of Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Tisuri and Melaka. Good morning to all of you. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, Professor M.D. Lamavansha, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhujit, the Chief Guest and the Keynote Speaker, Professor Kamal Dean, the Guest of Honor, Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga, all the Deans of the faculties, namely Professor Manjula Atigala, Dean Dental Sciences, Professor Anil Pushpakumara, Dean Veterinary Medicine, Professor Lalani Atwara, Dean HS, Professor Sanath Rajapaksha, Dean Science, my special invitee, Emeritus Professor Channa Ratnatunga, Director PGIMS, Professor Samad Dharmaratna, President PeMSARC, Professor Heshan Jayavira, President KSM, Dr. Manjula Herath, former Deans of Faculty of Medicine, Professor Vajiraveera Singha, Professor Acharya Bigunodana, members of the academic staff of the faculty, university officials, Acting Registrar, University of Peradeniya, Mr. Mahinda Ekanayaka, Bursa University of Peradeniya, Mr. Arampat, Deputy Registrar, Faculty of Medicine, Mrs. Sanjeevani Marasingha, Deputy Bursa, Faculty of Medicine, Ms. Menaka Jayaratna, Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Chandima Herath, members of the non-academic staff of the faculty, which I'm seeing a lot of you all here, and the faculty, the dear students and parents. Surely, it gives me a great pleasure to speak at the 3rd Annual Research Congress of the Faculty of Medicine, and this conference actively involves the participation of academic staff, undergraduate students, higher degree students, and non-academic staff presenting their research on a common platform before a distinguished panel and scholarly audience. And I extend, joining with Samiti, a very warm welcome to you all for your distinguished presence here today. We are privileged to have Professor Kamal Dean as the chief guest and the keynote speaker for 2024. He is an eminent researcher with groundbreaking papers published in prestigious journals you will yet to hear. And his presence is indeed an inspiration and motivation to us and would undoubtedly inspire interest in our students to engage in research passionately. We welcome his presence, which will enliven this event and inspire even more forays into his exciting domain. I'm very happy to welcome Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga as guest of honor at our research session today, this year. She is both an alumnus and a well-reputed and honored staff member of our faculty. Her eminence in the sphere of pathology, with excellent academic credentials and the high volume of research she has conducted, make it a pleasure to have her with us today, and she will definitely add luster to this event. Also, it's a great pleasure to have Professor M.D. Lamavansha grace this occasion during his tenure as Vice Chancellor. His excellent track record as an able administrator, eminent surgeon, and renowned scholar with an actively abiding interest in research will no doubt motivate students to scale the upper stratum of research in the faculty and the university. Student research is given prominence in our faculty, and these research sessions are a testament to our commitment to this goal. We started this forum to this magnitude 3 years ago under the patronage of the current DVC, Professor Terence Madhuji, the very first one, and the chief guest, Emeritus Professor Rohan Jayasekara, and the Congress co-chairs, Dr. Samidhi Navaratna and Professor Duminda Yasaratna. The event has had exponential growth since then. I personally feel that this event has added much academic stature to our faculty and plays a pioneering role in stimulating and invigorating research, especially among the student community. I'm also pleased to understand that this has become a much anticipated event in the faculty calendar, and students have been not only bestowed the opportunity to interactively share their research, but also have the added advantage of their articles published in the Book of Proceedings, while the best research papers will be selected for 3 awards, namely award of the PeMSARC Conference Prize for the Best Research Activity, the PeMSARC Undergraduate Research Prize, the KSM Undergraduate Research Prize, the 3 prizes that to name. This stimulus that keeps positively generating better outcomes will give added directions and purpose to their future career goals by being independent research-oriented individuals who have the thirst and desire to indulge in discoveries and knowledge that would be. Our audience will also have the opportunity to listen to the research outcomes of the academic staff and postgraduate students, particularly those who have completed their high degrees, and be appraised of their impactful research that would enrich academia positively. We are proud of our academic staff for the growing number of research projects, publications, and citations, and the global impact created in our respective fields. The due recognition will be bestowed by awarding the research excellence to the academic staff. We also recognize students who have excelled in academic and extracurricular activities and honor them with faculty awards. We are not forgetting the recognition of non-academic staff who engage in innovative scientific productions and research. This event has culminated in the passionate effort by many faculty members who have contributed their time and service immeasurably to this endeavor, including the chair of the conference, Dr. Navaratna, the secretary, Dr. Manjula Piris, the treasurer, Dr. Kaushika Gunasekara, and the committee members who worked tirelessly to stage this conference. Also, I must specially mention my immense appreciation for the students who led by the president, Mr. Ganesham, and his very talented team. All these committees had student co-chairs with the academic staff. They have played an important pivotal role in organizing Congress with special attention to all the aspects. And their engagement has been enthusiastic for a job well done. And they have been great exemplars of responsibility. It has been delightfully inspirational to facilitate their work. And I look forward to a conference of productive research that will translate to the success of our faculty. And I wish the sessions all success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for your continuous support in all our endeavors.
A figure who has long stood at the head of these esteemed grounds of learning, we would like to cordially invite the Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, Professor M.D. Lamavansa, to address the gathering.
Good day to all of you. First of all, let me appreciate the organizing committee for inviting me as the incumbent Vice Chancellor to share a few thoughts with you at this very important and the 3rd edition of PeMSARC. And also this is my last public appearance, I think, as a Vice Chancellor, and to do that in the medical faculty is something I treasure. And also to match the occasion, we have well and truly eminence represented and in Professor Kemal Dean. And I'm happy for more than one reasons. Good scholar, product of Peradeniya, and a humble human being and a gentleman, and above all, he's a surgeon, and he's a good friend of mine. Thanks, Kemal, on behalf of the university. People work, academics work, they ascend greater heights here and develop a love to the university and the faculty, and some of them continue that love beyond their retirements. And we have Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga and Sir Professor Ratnatunga, one of our highly respected teachers in the audience. The PeMSARC concept was started at an interview we conducted to promote Samidhi Navaratna. In 2022, at the interview we discussed this. And Professor Vasanthi took the initiative, and she's the one who generated the idea. And 2022 was not a year for us to plan anything new. At the time, we did not know how to start the day and how to end the day. This is one of the very good examples of not forgetting to take initiatives even in the worst times. And sometimes we believe the surgeons that is the best time to take initiatives. Vasanthi and Samidhi and also the Manjula, thanks for giving that leadership. And also Professor Vasanthi Pinto's immense desire to expand the research culture of the University of Peradeniya. In Professor Madhujit, who will take over the office in less than 48 hours, and is a prolific researcher himself, the loss to the university will be that, and he won't have much time to engage in research, but I am sure he will play a pivotal role in furthering the research culture of the University of Peradeniya, and including the Faculty of Medicine and the food science being close to what we do day in, day out. Highlighting the importance of the occasion, this is being graced by PG directors and deans, and also respected academic staff, and very importantly, the organizations like PeMSARC and Candy Society of Medicine, represented by Professor Heshan Jayavir and Dr. Manjula Herath respectively, and their desire to help research activities of the Faculty of Medicine beyond what we are quite used to do, finding stipend and scholarships for our students. Mr. Mahinda Ekanayaka and his non-academic team and always have been very supportive of our research efforts, and so are the academic staff. And organizing committee, Manjula, you will have invited a good cross-section of students and the other well-wishers and the alumni of University of Peradeniya, especially Faculty of Medicine, to this occasion. While I was trying to consolidate my thoughts in the morning, what I have been thinking about last 2 days amidst busy schedule, I shaved my face twice to tell you the truth. But I was thinking about it and what to say, because you have given me 5 minutes and I have to be pretty sharp, and I already have spent nearly 2.5 minutes of that. Being a surgeon, and although I shaved my face twice, and I did not self-inflict any abrasions or cut injuries to my face. And this is really fascinating as I was dressing up and what I went through in the morning, because I wanted to consolidate my thoughts. Couple of points what I thought was, and we all know the benefits, direct benefits of research. We often look at the output of research, and yes, an outcome and outputs are important, but when it comes to students and it is a learning experience, should we confine this learning experience only to the module that the research is being taught? And can we use research concepts in our teaching? When we discuss treatment of appendicitis and without any evidence base, we say the appendicitis and appendicectomy, of course, and now it is changing and it has changed. But I never thought as a student or a young lecturer that it was important for us to not to omit the textbook, but to find out and teach why the appendicectomy should be done with evidence. Then it brings us to the evidence-based practice, and if we all do, and I think that will give a huge impetus to expand our research culture. Second point that we can be a bit lax about is, and being students, undergraduate research, that supervision can be not to the optimum level expected. I believe that is where the supervision should be applied most. For us to gain the benefit of training students to embark future with research orientation. Having said that, what are the collateral benefits of research? Ability to think critically and analyze whatever comes your way, an ability to solve problems. And these benefits cut across not only the narrow research modules, but all our disciplines. That is why it is important, and it is incumbent upon us, all of us as teachers, to drive research-oriented thinking to our students. Along with that, the time management comes, and allocating time for students and the time management by as individuals. We often hear from even senior academics, and I don't have time to do research. And I indirectly say that, how about your time management? Doing research and also taking on multiple tasks help you with time management, and the time management helps you with research. And if we don't understand, it is a vicious cycle, and then we retire without understanding any of those two. Teamwork and interdisciplinary association is another benefit that we can strongly capitalize, considering the University of Peradeniya's academic ambience. I'm not very sure how much we invite supervisors and the researchers from other faculties to. You do, so I'm very glad. And that will bring the necessary multidisciplinary culture that the university has been trying to expand, especially over the last 3 years, with very good results. Resilience, perseverance, and the personal accomplishments help for us to reach or achieve our personal and professional development, which is a great benefit of research. Concentrating a little bit more on University of Peradeniya research emphasis during the last 3 years, we have spent quite a bit of money, especially for multidisciplinary research. Now there are more than 25 such projects in operation. And every year we spend now 100 millions, and we increase it 2022 towards the latter part, despite the economic hardship that we faced. Although we allocated some funds for student research through academic staff, the utilization of funds has been extremely poor. Whenever I raise this, the teachers say, we don't know the existence of such scheme that we have circulated long time ago. When I talk again in 6 months' time, the same teacher says, we don't know the existence of that. And it was last week that we launched endowment chairs, and 2 endowments coming from dental and then health-related multidisciplinary research. The second one from a science graduate of this university. The first one, we got 5 million Sri Lankan rupees, and the other one is 10 million for the first one, and we matched that with additional 5 million from our university funds, and the other one, additional 20 millions, 10 millions each from the Faculty of Medicine and the central funds. This is something that has a huge potential for us to expand on. Looking at the eminence that we have in our alumni across the world. As part of the centenary development plans that is in now operation, or rather project now it is, there is what is known as multidisciplinary research laboratory being put up. Professor Ratnatunga, that is the top of the clinical laboratory that Dr. Budpitiya spearheaded using our own funds. And that will give certainly a huge advantage for the faculty and also the university to help students and young academics to engage in research. Until last week, for PhD students, unless occasional research grants that support them, they have to pay and read for a PhD here. The best of universities in the world enroll good research students by looking after them in more than one way. For the first time here in university, we established 20 PhD research grants rather, 10 in agriculture supported by PGIA, another 10 by the central administration, so that they will be looked after and looked after well in the coming 3 years. So with that 20, and if we continue to add more in the coming years, which we have the potential, I am sure Professor Madhujit will take this further, being part of it. We may be able to reach our goal of having, Professor Kamaldeen, 500 PhD students in this environment from the current just under 200 PhD students. Of course, we got to do a lot to achieve there. University funding alone cannot reach that. The last point is that we grumble about not having enough research facilities. The last address at the faculty here, I mentioned the amount of research equipment and the facilities that we have in this university. Some of them are grossly underutilized. Faculty of Medicine, I think, can play a pivotal role in using this equipment, which are of the world class, and before they go out of use. Finally, The Faculty of Medicine will have I hope, a new dean in a couple of weeks' time. I hope, as a Vice Chancellor, and I am sure it is his hope as well, the Faculty of Medicine continues to expand its research culture. If we don't do that, we fail to do justice to our profession and what we are expected to do to the University of Peradeniya and beyond. Once again, while wishing you the very best for your research discourse today, unfortunately, Madhujit and I will not be able to be here because we have only few more hours to do many things that we are supposed to do during this transition. Thank you once again and all the best.
Thank you, sir, for those truly insightful words.
It is our pleasure to now invite Dr. Manjula Perez, the Conference Secretary, to introduce our guest of honor for PeMSARC 2024.
Distinguished members of the head table, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students, I have been given this very difficult task of condensing a lifetime of dedicated work and service to this faculty and community into a very short speech. And Madam particularly asked me to make it short. She told me not to get carried away with fancy ideas and all that. Please don't read out my CV, which is too long. And in any case, her speech is going to be short anyway, so don't make it longer than that. So that's a huge challenge I have. Then again, I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this task? I thought I'll speak from the heart. Although I had this long CV in my hand, I think I'll speak from the heart. Discarding this piece of paper, I feel that when God decided to make Professor Ratnatunga, he used in equal measures strength and honor, sweetness and grace. Those are the 4 words which I can use to sum her up as a personality. What are her achievements? Well, she was born into a great family, and then she was actually the girls' high school was privileged to have her. Not that she got to girls' high school, but the other way around. And what can you achieve in girls' high school but become the head prefect? She did that. She passed out in 1978 from this faculty. What is the best thing you can do in this faculty? Become the top of the batch. She did that. Along the way, she also met a very handsome, eligible bachelor who is sitting in the front seat now. And maybe the third of her great achievements is eventually becoming, after so many decades of service, a senior professor in the Department of Pathology. So I'll cut down about 10 years to about 2 sentences. I hope I'm doing okay, madam. So what about her CV? So that's pretty long. She has had almost 4 decades of teaching, research, administration, and overall mentorship and being a role model in this faculty for almost 4 decades. She obtained her PhD in 1986, a few more statistics. She became a board-certified consultant in histopathology in 1992. She was an honorary histopathologist consultant to the teaching hospital Peradeniya till her retirement. She has had postdoctoral training at St. Thomas's Hospital in London, the Imperial College School of Medicine, Hammersmith Hospital, London. She is a fellow. She is a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians, fellow of the College of Pathologists of Sri Lanka, a fellow of the Sri Lanka College of Surgeons. She is also she has been at different times the president and the secretary of the College of Pathologists in Sri Lanka. Her publications are so many, and she has won many national awards, and her H index is 20. Now, her sweetness and grace was there in a very memorable manner when we were students. She used to both terrorize and charm us at the same time. None would lift their head or look in any direction because we were terrified that she might throw us out of the hall, which she did quite often. But even from the corridor, she sounded very nice. Her pathology lectures are what I try to echo to my students even now. She used to stand and deliver. If you all recall, I think all of you may have been her students at one time or another. But her great strength I saw in recent times during the great personal crisis that she had to face, and we all lived through that. So, I mean, she and her family have come this distance because of her great charm and strength. This is the definition of strength. I applaud her for that more than anything else. Why we want this great personality today here is for the students to see what the Peradeniya faculty and this environment is capable of producing in terms of a quality person. I want the students to, although they are not fortunate enough to hear her lectures, I want the students to at least listen to her voice and see her for what she was and what she is and what she will be. Because that could perhaps be the future of all of you someday with a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. Thank you so much. I invite Professor Madam Ratnatunga onto the stage.
The Vice Chancellor, Professor Lamavan sir, Deputy Vice Chancellor and Vice Chancellor in waiting, Professor Madhujit, Dean Medicine Vasanthi Pinto, Professor Kemal Dean, Organizing Committee of PeMSARC, colleagues, students and friends. I am indeed deeply touched to be invited as guest of honor to this prestigious event. Samidhi, Manjula and Mr. Ganeshan and your committee, thank you very much for your gracious welcome afforded to me. Manjula, that introduction was quite unexpected and heartwarming. I'm really touched by that. You have taken a bit of my time, so I promise I'll keep my speech short. As always, it's good to be back amongst you in these familiar surroundings. Professor Kemal Dean, this moment brings back memories of a shared stage at a PeMSARC Congress a few years ago, and also those carefree days in this faculty when you were but a young medico, and I not so young lecturer. Now you all have a mentally intensive day ahead today. So I will talk in a light vein and convey a very simple message to budding young researchers and budding supervisors. An experience of a young medico. Over 50 years ago, when I was a medical student, having completed the second MBBS, we had a short vacation. A senior clinical teacher, now passed on of course, then decided to use us to gather data for a project during this vacation, which was to see what an intern's duty entailed. This was to see if what was being taught in medical school had any relevance to the demands on an intern house officer. Mind you, curriculum revision was fashionable even in those days. Each of us were assigned 2 interns, one medical, one surgical, in the Kandy hospital. Our task was to document every 30 minutes what each intern was doing at that time. Having been assigned this task, we were left to our own devices. Now I think most of you know the terrain of Kandy Hospital. The surgical wards, as you know, are at the road level, and the medicine wards are up on the hill. So we were expected to trudge up and down the Kandy Hospital hill every 30 minutes to document data. Needless to say, after half a day, most data gatherers disappeared, but produced the data anyway when called for. But not me, you know. 1 or 2 of us toiled away, and within 2 days, I ended up with bilateral tenosynovitis of the tendo Achilles due to overuse. And dear Dr. V.C. De Silva, the then consultant rheumatologist, a very formidable man but yet kind, recommended complete rest. And so thankfully, I was compelled to abandon data collection. To date, I don't know whether that data submitted by the collectors were used at all. The curriculum remained the same for the next couple of decades. This experience taught me that a study must be doable. The more elegant word, I guess, is feasible or practical, and that there has to be supervision at appropriate levels. This was reiterated throughout my academic life, first when reading for my PhD, and thereafter as a researcher and a supervisor of studies at different levels. I firmly believe that supervisors play a major role in the successful outcome of a student's research study. Meticulous planning of the methodology and thinking of the feasibility of methodology irons out many a rough patch. After all, it is quite depressing to have a project or paper rejected or having to repeat experiments, etc. So my simple message today is that supervision is the name of the game, not only in research but in any endeavor. When assigning tasks, ensure they are doable under the circumstances. I take this opportunity to commend the pioneers of PeMSARC, Professor Vasanthi Pinto, Professor Manoj Patirage and others, for affording this opportunity to medical students to present and publish their work. It is always good to see your name in print, as my mentor, Professor Ralph Panabokke, would say. And I congratulate the organizing committee, Samidhi, Manjula, Mr. Ganeshan and their committee, and the students for a job well done in the organization of this event. I wish you all every success in your future endeavors and wish PeMSARC a bright, continuous future. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for those inspiring words. We kindly request you to come on to stage once again to receive a small token of appreciation from our conference chairperson, Dr. Samidhi Navaratna. Thank you, madams.
A true giant of his field, He is one of our alma mater's proudest sons. A founding professor of the Department of Surgery, Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya, I will leave any further introductions to this spectacular individual for later on in our program, as he is our keynote speaker for this morning as well. Please welcome the chief guest of PeMSARC 24, Emeritus Professor Kemal Dean, to address the gathering.
Very good morning, sir. Very good morning to my colleagues and all you medical students. Good morning to the head table, Vasanthi, Manjula, Professor Lamavan, sir, Professor Ratnatunga and Samidhi. It's a pleasure to be back. This is my home. I'm sorry I've been away from home for many years. It was about 41 years ago when I was a medical student over there, and 41 years later, I'm here back at the University of Peradeniya. It was humbling to be asked to come here this morning. Absolutely an honor to be here, and it's overwhelming to see all of you, particularly medical students, well dressed, not like we were scavengely dressed, attending this conference. It's such a proud moment for me. It's a proud moment for Peradeniya. They say that a human being has about 2,000 words in a day, so I'm not going to spend too many words now because I know I have to speak again. But just to say that I'm very impressed by the progress in research. I think the research is the foundation of medicine. It is the foundation of the progression of medicine. It doesn't have to be much. It's just a little bit. Look at Alexander Fleming's example of observation. He goes off on holiday, comes up, opens his window, finds out that penicillin was the drug of the day, saved many lives. So research does not have to be hugely voluminous. It does not have to be the complex area of research that most researchers make it so impossible for simple medics like us to get into. We are made to believe as medical students that research is for scientists, not understanding that we are scientists. That is why we got into medicine. So here we are at a stage, based on what I'm hearing, that research is the focus of this university. I'm so very proud. And I might suggest that, just like in the American universities, we have professors of research, associate professors of research departments that are central to the development of research, so that any student or young postgraduate can come to this department of research and get data on statistics, management, data on how to write a protocol, purely research-driven. That would take away the excuse of lack of time, because the tenure professor of research, his or her only job is to push the envelope in research. And if you all know, the world rankings in universities, why the American, Australian, now the Chinese universities are heading up there is because of their research, not because of the number of anti-resections and number of thyroidectomies we've done. So whilst being a surgeon, you will understand that my busy life did contribute to research. If you ask whether I stay married, I am, because my wife hasn't lived a married life with me. I always refer to her as my mistress because I'm married to surgery. I was married to research. I've now taken a back step on that and contribute to supporting younger colleagues. And if there's anything I can do for development of research at Peradeniya, I'm willing to do that. With that said, I think you young medical students have a lot of inspiration to gather from the wisdom of the faculty here. I'm very so grateful to Professors Ratnatunga and Alvihare for having taken me through some tough times in the University Department of Surgery when I interned there. And that gave me all the strength to be understanding that I would not only be a surgeon, but also be a researcher. So just wait to hear from what I have to say on the talk, specifically directed at you younger people, and enjoy the rest of the morning and the evening. And with that, I take a bow. Thank you so much for having asked me to be here. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir, for those immensely enlightening words.
Now it is the time to recognize our brightest undergraduates, the Faculty Award Ceremony 2024.
The University Grants Commission, better known as the UGC, has recognized the importance of building balanced graduates in order to engage with tests and tribulations of the professional world ahead of them.
In order to recognize and encourage undergraduates to excel in both academics and extracurricular activities, the UGC has invited the faculties to award the Faculty Awards to students who have excelled in these areas.
Therefore, it is with great pleasure that we invite Professor Indu Nanyakara to the podium to carry on with the proceedings of the award ceremony.
A very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen of the head table and the distinguished invitees, my colleagues and students. Before I announce the winners for this year, I would like to tell you a little bit about the Faculty Awards. This was first put out by the UGC in 2018. The scheme of award was introduced to recognize highly motivated students who are equally talented in academic and extracurricular activities. So apart from academic merit, the exceptional leadership, community service, good studentship, outstanding talent in sports and aesthetics, creativity, and research have been considered in deciding who gets faculty awards. Now, the awards were selected by an eminent panel of judges appointed by the faculty board and approved by the Senate, which included 3 very senior professors from the Faculty of Medicine and 2 very senior staff members from other health-related faculties. So the present awards, the awards which are given today, are for the academic year 23-24, and I will read from, so the students have 3 opportunities of winning this award, one at the end of the second MBBS exam, one at the end of the third MBBS exam, and finally at the end of the final examination. So today we will first give the awards for the 2021 batch, which has completed the second MBBS examination. So to award these faculty awards for the 2021 batch, let me kindly invite the Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, Professor M.D. Lamavansa, onto the stage. So 2021 batch faculty awards goes to Ms. Dasanayaka D.K.H.Y., Miss W.M.M.T. Mahaulpata, Mr. S.M.P.D. Samaravira, So the faculty awards for the batch 1718, who has completed the third MBB examination in November 2023. Although faculty awards are given for 5 people in the batch, we have 6 here because there was a tie. So let me start with Mr. K.A.S.U. Karagala. Miss B.M.G.K. Bandarnayaka. Miss T.D. Karunathilaka. Mr. N.K.K.S. Tabru. Mr. K.R.N.U. Kakulavala. Mr. S.S. Senaratna. Then finally, the faculty awards for the batch who completed the final MBBS in January 2024. Miss S.M. Hettiarachchi. Mr. K.A.D.C.K. Athukoral. Miss J.B.K. Udapamanuwa. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
All the recipients, congratulations on behalf of the university, and also the talent shown by the students in the procession and also here is exceptional, isn't that so? And දෙමව්පියන්ටත් ඉතාමත්ම සතුටු වෙන්න පුළුවන් මේ දරුවන්ගේ achievements පිළිබඳව. බොහොම ස්තුතියි ඒ වගේ ළමයි අපේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට එවපු එක පිළිබඳව. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs and madams, and heartiest congratulations to all the winners.
Now is the time to recognize our accomplished academic researchers. The Academic Staff, Research Excellence Award Ceremony 2024. The Academic Staff Research Excellence Awards is a prestigious recognition program that celebrates and honors the outstanding research achievements of our dedicated academic staff members.
Therefore, it is with great pleasure that we invite Professor Fasiha Nuruddin to the podium to carry on with the proceedings of this award ceremony.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. The Faculty Research Award of the Faculty of Medicine was started in 2014 to recognize staff members publishing in impact journals. So the notice is called every year to award for papers published in the previous year. For the impact more than one in SCI, that is Science Citation Indexed and Expanded Journals. For this year, we have called applications during the trade union action, and we got 20 applications from staff members, of which under our categorization, we were able to choose 18 awardees under the categories for the Faculty Research Award. And we only give staff members published using the university's address. If a staff member has published research in a different affiliation, we don't award. So awards are given to papers of higher impact of this university's contribution are awarded every year. So in that note, I would like to call upon the staff members that are receiving the Faculty Research Award for this year. To award the award, first, may I call our guest of honor, Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga, to award the Faculty Research Awards for the half of the recipients. With that, I'll call the names to be awarded. Professor Vajira Veerasinghe. Professor Indika Gavaramman. Professor D. M. G. Fernando. Professor W. D. S. J. Vikramasinghe. Next is Professor Nuruddin. Professor Dharmaratna. Professor D. H. Edusuriya. Professor A. N. Vadisinghe. Thank you very much, Madam. May I now call our chief guest, Professor Kamal Dean, to award the next set of awards for the staff. Professor R. S. Talgahagoda. Dr. H.M.T.W. Senivaratna. Dr. T.D.P. Nandadeva. Dr. D.R.K.C. Disanayaka. Dr. V.K.I.U. Alvis. Dr. E.M.K.B. Ekanayaka. Dr. C.U. Vikramasinghe. Dr. S.S. Manatunga. Thank you very much, sir, for awarding the Faculty Research Awards. And we have two people receiving the awards in absentia, Dr. Professor W.D.M.T.I. Dasanayaka, Professor L.P.M.M.K. Patiragi. With that said, this year's Faculty Research Awards session is concluded.
Thank you, Madam, and heartiest congratulations to all the awardees.
This year's PeMSARC is a special one. Our faculty has produced some of the best medical scientists in our country and the wider world as well. Their contributions, and by extension, the contributions of this faculty, to the field of medicine cannot be measured or understated. And it is therefore our great pleasure to invite Dr. Kirti Disanayaka in his capacity as Director of Research and Development Unit to present the Faculty Research Bibliography 2019-2021 to our Chief Guest and Keynote Speaker, Professor Kemal Deen, our Guest of Honor, Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga, Vice Chancellor, Professor M.D. Lamavansa, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhujit, and the Dean of Faculty of Medicine, Professor Vasanthi Pinto.
Thank you, sir. We would now like to cordially invite Mr. Nadarasa Ganesham, the student chairperson of PeMSARC 24, to address the gathering.
Vice Chancellor, Professor M.D. Lamavangsha, Deputy Vice Chancellor, or should I say, to be Vice Chancellor in 48 hours, Professor Terence Madhujit, our distinguished guest of honor, our esteemed Chief Guest and Keynote Speaker, invited deans, our patron, the Dean, Professor Vasanthi Pinto, esteemed guests, the Executive Committee of PeMSARC 24, academic staff members, non-academic staff members, parents, faculty award winners, and my fellow colleagues. It gives me great pride and honor to address you all here today as the student chairperson of this year's conference, a legacy that is 3 years in the making and would surely go on for more years to come. Our primary goal for this year, PeMSARC 24, was to ensure the sustainability of this conference, and there is no doubt that we have initiated the process which would surely bear fruits in the years to come. PeMSARC 24 is also not just a mere research conference. It is also an event which reminisces the achievements of the giants of the past, on whose shoulders we all now stand to see further into the future. From an ambitious idea of our very own Dean to an unshakable endeavor being organized through thick and through thin, it is not myself that I am representing right here, but all the voices and efforts that have worked to their fullest capacity, which has always made this event possible since its inception back in the year 2022. Our distinguished chief guest, Professor Emeritus Kemal Dean, is a man of stardom and excellence. From having scored the winning try in rugby in the Bradby encounter against Royal in the year 1976, to being part of the team which introduced liver transplantation to Island Nation, this individual has done nothing but impress all of us, even at the most trying times. But our guest of honor, on the other hand, Professor Emerita Neelakanthi Ratnatunga, is a gentle soul with a robust persona. She was the head prefect at her school, batch top in her batch, and also pioneered in renal histopathology in Sri Lanka. Our Vice Chancellor, sir, it is an honor to have you here. And even more privileged we are to have you here for your last public appearance, which adds that cherry on top which this year's conference inauguration needed. All in all, to the ones that believed in us, to the ones that guided us, to the ones that stepped aside, and the ones that wished us well, and to my parents and all parents here today, a heartfelt thank you is the least I could say for all that you have done towards making PeMSARC 24 a reality today. And with that, I cordially invite you all to witness the researchers which will be presented today that have in some form or the other contributed to further understanding of the intricate details of the field that we all chose to preserve life. Sarvasya Lochanam Shastram, Apporul Meiporul Kanbadarivu, Siyalla Dakinna Netha Shastrayai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ganesham. In lieu of the keynote speech, we would kindly request the members of the head table to retake their seats among the audience.
We now invite Dr. Samit Navaratna, the chairperson of PeMSARC 24, to introduce our keynote speaker for the day.
Thank you. I guess all of you all have witnessed the charming personality, so I'm quite honored to read out the citation. Professor Kemal Dean, distinguished consultant surgeon and professor emeritus at the University of Peradeniya Medical School, born and raised in the historic city of Kandy, Professor Dean's early education at Trinity College laid the foundation for an illustrious career. He obtained his MBBS from the Faculty of Medicine, University of Peradeniya, with second-class honors, and completed his internship at Peradeniya Hospital. His exceptional academic journey includes an FRCS from Glasgow, an MD from the University of Birmingham, and an MS from the University of Colombo. Professor Dean's surgical training, which spanned Sri Lanka, Birmingham, and Minnesota, was marked by notable achievements, including being honored as the University of Minnesota's outstanding surgical resident for his pioneering work on anal neo-sphincters. As the founding professor at the University of Kelaniya, he ascended to the role of senior professor and chair in surgery, where he dedicated over 2 decades to clinical excellence and medical education. In his clinical and teaching career, Professor Dean specialized in the treatment of colorectal diseases, imparting knowledge to both undergraduate and postgraduate surgical trainees. His research contributions, particularly in the areas of anal sphincter structure and function, enhancing surgical outcomes for rectal cancer and colitis, and the restoration of continence, have been groundbreaking. With over 130 peer-reviewed papers, 45 book chapters, and an impressive H-index of 29, his scholarly work is widely recognized. Professor Dean has also delivered over 400 invited talks, including keynotes at prestigious gatherings such as the annual meeting of General Surgeons Australia. This year, he is set to deliver a teaching award lecture at the International Society of Colon and Rectal Surgeons. Professor Dean's leadership extends beyond academia. He has served as president of the College of Surgeons of Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka Society of Gastroenterology, and the Asian Society of Stoma Rehabilitation. As editor-in-chief of the Sri Lanka Journal of Surgery, he has influenced the field significantly. His role as a visiting professor at several international universities and his involvement in pioneering initiatives in Sri Lanka, such as the development of stoma nursing, the launch of Sri Lanka's neo-satellites during his tenure as chairman at the Arthur C. Clarke Center, and the establishment of the Muratua University Medical School, highlight his visionary contributions. In addition to his medical and academic accomplishments, Professor Dean's passion for sports saw him excel in rugby football, playing for Trinity College, the University of Peradeniya, Kandy Sports Club, and Sri Lanka Colts. He was recognized as the University of Peradeniya's outstanding sportsman. Professor Dean is married to Shanas, and together they have nurtured a family of healthcare professionals. His life and career remain a testament to his unwavering commitment to advancing medical science and education, both in Sri Lanka and globally. With that note, I would like to invite Professor Kemal Dean to the podium to deliver the keynote speech of PeMSARC 24. Thank you.
Thank you, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Samidhi. That was excellent. But very quickly, to get down to my keynote speak, it's going to be on the area of scientific research. You don't see much of these talks from surgeons, but there are surgeons. And I am glad to be a product of the great people one of whom is here today. At the time, I'm going to dot this talk with lots of stories. And that's a part of this talk today. At the time that I completed my internship, I used to work very hard because it was determined that we worked hard. The university unit at Peradeniya worked interns 5.5, if not 5 3/4 days of the week. That took us till Saturday afternoon, when it culminated in Prof. Ratnatunga's board round on a Saturday, starting 3 o'clock. So just when we finished our diagnosis cards at 2 o'clock, we just had about half an hour for lunch, and then Prof. Ratnatunga would turn up in his red car, I can't remember the make, and then we would be on the ward round. Just when the Saturday ward round was over, we had some time to sleep, and the prof unit was back at work on casualty duty, then at the Kandy General Hospital, so we had to trudge back when everybody else was having a Sunday off. So we worked 7 days of the week, and it was a hard week. It was focused on work. There was a bit of research, but not anywhere near the research support that you have now at Peradeniya. So at the end of my year, this story is untold. I had a one-on-one conversation with Professor Aluvihara and said, "Sir, I really need to go out there and get some research because I'm planning to leave this country." He said, "Why are you doing this? You know, you have a lot of focus. You have a lot of hope in developing yourself in this part of the country." I said, "You have not taught me how to perform research, and I'm no less respect for him than I have now." And I said, "This is why I'm going." And he said, "Well, that's it. Off you go, but do remember to come back." And 15 years later, I returned. It was hard. It was a culture shock, reverse culture shock, to come back. And so I pay a lot of tribute and respect to my alma maters, the University of Peradeniya up there on the crest there, the University of Birmingham. Professor Michael Keatley was the professor of surgery. As you know, for students from Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, it's not easy to get in there. You really have to fight your way. You have to really get in to perform. And that's what I did. And I have to be proud that I did that, given the potential that I developed at Peradeniya. I'm so grateful for Peradeniya. And then eventually I went off to the University of Minnesota and the Mayo Medical School, where I did my research there. I was one of the fellows there. It's not easy to get on a fellowship program. I was one of the fellows of that year. And then I decided to come back. It was hard at the age of 34. It was a difficult decision, but it was a decision of gratitude because I needed to give back what I got from Sri Lanka. And it's an unbelievable decision. The Americans weren't very pleased for me because they put in a lot of money into their research fellows and also their fellows. So off I came to Sri Lanka, and then there was an application called for junior lecturer at the University of Kelaniya Medical School, and that's where I ended up, founding the University Department of Surgery. So life is a story. I think if there are good things in your story, you need to tell them for the benefit of you at the back, because there's inspiration from everybody else's life. My bit of story will move on once I get this marker going. Can I have the next slide, please? Yep, that's fine. I've got it. Hurry. That's fine. Put on slideshow. Slideshow there. So the scientific research is the lifeblood of advances, particularly in any form of life, but in medicine specifically. I'm going back to history because if you learn from history, it gives you an idea of where you are going in the future. History teaches you many lessons that you can implement in your future, be it life or be it in the very field of medicine. And in the year 400 BC, medicine was well known in this part of the world. There were Ayurvedic texts translated into the Chinese language. In 800 AD, Ayurveda texts were translated into the Arabic language. And there was a lot of trade between Arabia and Europe. And the medical knowledge and the treatments from Arabia were translated into Europe, and that's where the Greeks absorbed a lot of their pioneering knowledge. And the lack of standardization became an impediment in progress to what was developed in eastern part of the world. We all know of the work of Hippocrates. He's credited to be the father of medicine because he put some science into the way we practice medicine then and even now. But lots of people probably don't know or remember the work of Sushruta. Sushruta was born into the Vedic culture in India, and he had amazing developments that he produced. Particularly well known for cataract surgery as a colorectal surgeon. I know of his work from the use of medicated cetones in the treatment of the dreadful disease called anal fistula. But there is one distinct difference between the work of Sushruta and the Greek medical people, and that is, of course, the representation of the torches. The one you see on the left is a single-handed torch. The one you see on the right is a torch being passed on. And the bottom line for this story is that in eastern parts of the world, medicine was pretty much dominated by single persons. They progressed through family attachments towards medicine, whereas in the Western world, there was collaboration, cohesion, and spread of knowledge. So that obviously is a message that we need to learn, that if we collaborate, if we support each other, and if we are open and transparent about research, then it will progress further than if we keep it amongst ourselves. Take, for instance, the work that is now contributing to anti-inflammatory disease and cancer. It stems from the use of turmeric, which we are all familiar with in our kitchens. It was used about 4,000 years ago in the Vedic culture, very part of India where Sushruta originated from. Curcumin is a polyphenol and is the active ingredient of turmeric. It has anti-inflammatory actions, and it has also anti-cancer therapy. Its use as an anti-cancer therapy agent, or its potential use as an anti-cancer therapy agent, is based on its ability to create, if you are an American, you call it apoptosis. If you are British or European, you call it apoptosis. Essentially, it means programmed cell death. And that is where tumor suppression happens. But we didn't know about this for many years until a lot of the research and development culture progressed within India itself. India is a huge researcher into curcumin, and what they found is that there are clinical benefits observed in mice with inflammatory disease and genetic colorectal cancer from the use of turmeric. It offers promising expectations in humans. So large pharmacological studies are needed, but there are no more than 75 PubMed articles. PubMed is a platform where there is peer-reviewed science, generally guaranteed as secure science, good data, good testing, and then produced on the PubMed platform on curcumin. If you ever have had your hands upon this book called Homo Sapiens, written by this Jewish author, it talks about the cognitive revolution that enabled Homo sapiens over the Neanderthals over 70,000 years ago, and allowed the human being to emerge as the apex predator. That bottom line of how we, the weaker organism or the organ structures compared with Neanderthals prevailing, was based on the agriculture and the scientific revolutions, and it's essentially based on collaboration. So if you put your heads together, you have a better product. That's the message, compared with working in your home environment, in your a continued closed environment. So the bottom line here is collaborate, interact, and support. That's my message about the Eastern Torch versus the Western Torch. I think we have a lot to learn from the West. I think we have a lot to learn about their research culture. I think we have a lot to learn and apply into our own programs here. Nobody's done so much research on curcumin. Take aloe vera, for instance. There's a lot of support for aloe vera in the West, used in products that are dermatological and cosmetic. But if you understand that aloe vera is the soluble fiber, that's the basis for the bacterium in the human microbiome, Sri Lanka would be a very rich country just exporting aloe vera alone. Nobody's really picked onto that, but the next 10 years will tell you that. So there is a lot of stuff here that has potential for research that we need to really cotton onto and grab, using these research fora, using some of the bright brains that are at the back there as you move on in your careers to be able to take this on and convert basic science into practical value, and practical value into real value in terms of business. I'm going to quote for you some of the studies that we did at Ragama, which is the medical school at Peradeniya, just to impress upon you what little is required to produce a lot of the work that we know now about colorectal cancer in Sri Lanka. When I first took over in 1995 at the University of Peradeniya, we had no data. All we did was employed a full-time data input operator. We had a computer, took in all the data that came on with colorectal cancer, that's one of the areas, and just gathered data. Picked up all the stuff, supervised the data input operator, and soon we found that 10 years later, in the year 2008, we were able to produce this data on the prevalence of colorectal cancer. At that time, nobody knew this. And the survival in patients from the Gampaha district in North Colombo. We found some significant findings there, that 28%, one-third of all our patients at that time were young patients below the age of 30 years. Nobody knew this. When I was a surgeon in the West, if somebody presented under 30 years with rectal bleeding, we never thought of a prevailing higher colorectal cancer above hemorrhoids. Most people in clinics used to get a flexible sigmoidoscopy or rigid sigmoidoscopy and get their hemorrhoids injected. Nobody actually thought about heading up the colon to look for any lesion higher up. But we, for the first time in this part of the world, showed this, but this data was not believed by the West. They did not think that this was prevalence at that time. If you look at the data now, many years later, you will see what a big problem colorectal cancer in the young are. The Western data are filled with those young 30-year-olds with colorectal cancer, what to do with it, how we approach this, how we prevent it, nobody really knows. We think that fast foods and processed foods and lifestyle, particularly eating the wrong types of food, have a contributive factor. They produce the environmental component to an already existing genetic component. But why these young people develop the lack of apoptosis at that young age in the lining of the epithelium of the colon, nobody knows yet. And so that's a huge focus of research, something that we really showed at a very early stage. All we did is gather data. That's what AI does now, just filling in loads and reams of data to produce machines that do as humans do or quicker than humans do. So this is the basis of AI. You need to be intelligently introducing data into your computers, gather them laboriously, disciplined, make sure that data input is absolutely accurate, go back and recheck to say, make sure that there are little errors in your data input, and then confirm and seal. That's all you need to do, an exercise that does not require much granting, research grants. We didn't have research grants in our department for 10 years because we had to prove that we could do this research before grantees would award or research grant projects would be awarded to us. We needed to prove that. So that's the problem with every young researcher getting onto the research platform. You develop this idea, you have this great protocol, but you don't get accepted because people don't trust you enough. And so in order to be able to be trusted, you need supervision. You need a researcher to go with who has an established background. That is the bottom line of what Professor Ratnathunga was telling you this morning. Supervision is the name of the game. So make sure that you young researchers have the project in your hand, do a good research project, but make sure that you also go with a supervisor who gets recognized by research grants. Because if you have the research grant, then you develop everything else. You develop as a human being, you will develop the faculty because the resources go up in the faculty, and then you have papers that are of repute that get published, and then you take off. So that is the, if you like, the life cycle of an early researcher. When we looked at survival data, just simple data being analyzed now. We've spent about 15 years getting data onto our computers, and we then did not stop at just collecting data. We went on to an analysis mode. And when we looked at data in 2008, our overall 5-year survival for colorectal cancer was 50%. That means 50% of all who presented in a clinic in 1995 would be dead in 5 years. And that's not a great result to have. So we continue to do all of the stuff that required evaluation. Now we have 1,000 data entries with many sub-entries into our logbook in the surgical data evaluation forms at the University of Peradeniya. And one of the other things that we found in these young patients, because you know that there are 30% of our cancers were in young patients, we were keen to find out how did they do. Do they live long? What happens to their future life? We need to be able to communicate with their parents, with their wives, young spouses. So when we looked at the data, we found that in young patients, if you can get them to live the first 18 months of their life, then they live for 5 years or longer. So that first 18 months, 1.5 years after whatever we did, whether we did surgical resections on them or whether we undertook adjuvant therapies on them, we had to get this together. And we really haven't got an idea of why these patients die. But if you use AI now, and I'm going to tell you about the developments of AI in a very short module here, we probably will find the ideas to these answers. So that is an area of huge interest to us. We also found that if we were dissecting lymph nodes and our pathologists were not giving us less than 14 nodes to be evaluated, then patients did far worse than if we had 14 lymph nodes. So there was a collaborative effect. We went on to pathology laboratories. We talked with our pathologists and said, could you find 14 nodes that would give us an answer? Because if you find less than 14 nodes and perhaps 7 nodes, and these 7 nodes are negative for cancer, it does not predict that there might be no cancer in the 7 nodes that you have missed. And if you can find these 14 nodes, it's laborious to find nodes in a pathology specimen of rectal cancer. Then we will be able to better identify those who need adjuvant therapies and prolong their life. And we will also be able to have better data on actual survival based on node pathology. So with all of these efforts, very quickly to fast forward, Professor Pramod Chandrasinghe is now heading the Department of Colorectal Surgery or Surgery at the University of Peradeniya. I'm glad that the program has now gone on and continues to move on, which is another thing about mentoring and supervision. You need to create enough fire that gets younger researchers out of bed early morning and moves on with their work. And this young researcher then is now the professor of surgery at the medical school in Peradeniya. And what he's shown now is that there is a significant improvement in rectal cancer but not so much in colon cancer. That difference we cannot identify. And if you understand that if we use AI technology to try and tell us where the differences might be, we'll be able to get these graphs to overlap. And that's where machine learning comes. So artificial intelligence refers to complex software that mimics human interactions when given a task. It does not require human beings to be in there. But that requires a degree of deep learning by machines. And so machine learning is exactly what you do. It's a discipline of AI that provides computer systems to learn automatically from data and then to produce the results that we expect. This is what we have been doing using human input operators and human resources and human labs to be able to do that AI can do at a very quicker, faster pace. Excuse me. So this is where AI is. AI in medicine is in its infancy. It's an area that we need to take on board because we at the Peradeniya University here, at least you, have this amazing university that is attached to the University of Peradeniya's Engineering School. Engineering and computing needs to be matched on with medicine to be able to produce this technology. You can't get doctors going off and learning computer technology, becoming computer scientists, and then becoming engineers to be able to do this. So it's a collaborative effort. It's an effort between medical knowledge. It's an effort of labor between computer engineers and engineers in the engineering school that can put their heads together to be able to tell the difference between what we want to know. This, for instance, is an image, and AI has really developed in the terms of imaging. So, for instance, radiology has automatic reporting based on imaging. Endoscopy, intestinal endoscopy, vascular endoscopy has automatic reports in terms of imaging. It has taken up the human reporting facility because they can report based on machine learning. And this is an example of how AI and machine learning have taken training of laparoscopic gallbladder operation, for instance, into their fold. So in the green area, you see what is called a safe zone. And in the red area, we are telling the trainee not to get into those areas because you are going to damage the main structures. And AI can tell that difference. If I was a trainee and I knew where I was going to, it took a long time for me to learn where I was going to, and in the process of where I was going to, I would make mistakes. AI would be able to tell me, stay in the safe zone. If I was going into the red zone, it will warn me. The lights will light up, and it's an amazing training facility. And these data have now been produced in papers that show that you can take an image, process the image, tell the difference between organs and segment it to techniques, and then put them all together and tell your operator that you're in the safe zone or you're in an unsafe zone. How easy is that? And what AI does in the process is has all these computations and permutations of movements. So if you're using a hook and a dissector, for instance, and you have this image, it'll use the movements of the hook. It'll take microsecond assessments of where the hook is. It'll take microsecond assessments of where your grasper is. The grasper, for instance, holds onto the gallbladder. The hook is the dissector, and that is the damaging organ. It's a potentially damaging organ, and they will compute these things to divide safe from unsafe. It's beyond human ability. These are large chunks of data that are taken into machines. The machines learn and produce what we really can do in a lifetime. So AI is really here to stay. Do latch on to the developments of AI. There are lots of papers coming up in AI, but it's in infancy. And if Peradeniya wants to take it on, this is the time with simple structures. Here's another thing. This shows you the permutations and computations of microsecond movements of a surgeon performing radical prostatectomy, and what they are doing on the colored images up there on your screens, the horizontal bars, is looking at every movement of this of this dissection process that may or may not damage the nerves that produce erectile dysfunction. You know that when you're doing a radical prostatectomy, erectile dysfunction is a huge problem because once you've got the patient to live, the quality of life of this patient is impaired because of the lack of erectile function. And so using AI, we are able to say what movements are the likely movements to produce erectile dysfunction. How nice is that for the urologist performing robotic surgery? The AI robot will be able to say, do not make these movements because you are likely to produce nerve damage and erectile dysfunction. So that is unbelievably possible now. It may have been possible in single institutions where the supervisor or the surgeon was an experienced man or woman. But if you can now spread this information across the globe, then how fantastic is that? And that's exactly what they're doing from a center in Chile, in South America. So these surgeons in Chile, who are also AI experts, are producing this kind of information that allows surgeons in Africa to train on in their robotics labs and produce the same results as you would get in Chile or in America or anywhere in the world. Their data are showing that 8 teachers, just 8 teachers, can produce as much as 300 skilled surgical trainees graduating out of that program. And that is also an amazing ratio discrepancy, but a ratio value for people like us, where we have reduced numbers of faculty members, but large numbers of students, 200 in a batch now, 7 to 10 medical schools. And if you have quality teachers in one center, then you can produce that information that produces a standardized care and standardized information for all of our students. So that, I feel, is the future value of AI here. So this is a slide that essentially told you what I've been telling you. And if you can use AI to enhance its performance and tell us where we are getting it wrong with the yellow line and push it to the blue line, then that to me is development. That to me is significant development when you come to understanding that morbidity, mortality in a person with colorectal cancer does not only deal with a single individual, it deals with a family, it deals with the progress of that family, and it's a huge unseen story beyond this story. So I think this is where AI is going to help us. It facilitates analysis of complex data and is capable of building algorithms using large chunks of data that we really can't do as humans. We really have to spend our lifetimes doing this. AI for medicine, medical education requires intentional data collection. That's exactly where the thing is. You cannot go away like Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga's colleagues and run off and produce data that is not right. You have to sit down and produce data that is absolutely transparent and produce data that is honest and feed it into machines, and it'll give you the answer, and that answer stays for life with particular objective that you are seeking to achieve. It is now the appropriate time for medical research to become AI literate, to be able to implement AI tools. And in my last slide, for those of us medical educators, this is an amazing model. This is a model of who the medical professional should be. That includes medical students. And this was developed by the Canadian Royal College of Physicians in Canada. And what they're saying is you need all of those attributes to put it all together in one basket and make the medical profession, whether it's a specialist or a doctor. And if our medical schools can achieve this out of a medical student passing out of the Peradeniya Medical School, then I think you have done a great amount of service. You're producing doctors who look beyond the horizon, because that's what we need today. As I have progressed in my career as a specialist surgeon, I've come into contact with lots of younger doctors. I find that their intention to treat the patient is perfect, but beyond that, they have absolutely no interest or vision. And I think it's our narrow-minded, narrow-path teaching attitudes which are going to change with what I see happening at Peradeniya, and I'm so glad. I leave you with this thought, why research for medical students? I think it's all very evident. Those who have been in this research program as medical students will understand that it is readily available. Clinical research we're not short of clinical research in this country. It's readily available, just make use of it. Good research experience will develop your writing skills. And I was just talking with Dr. Manjul Pires and asking him how much of our exams are actually involving writing an essay. Because essay writing is hugely beneficial to the lateral channels of the brain. If you look at traditional universities like Oxford and Cambridge, they still have, those students still write essays every week. We have taken them out, perhaps for ease of examination. But that's not the answer to our story, because we are producing low-quality doctors, potentially, if we take this essay writing out of it. And that is exactly where research does. If you are able to produce data and eventually produce a paper out of it, doesn't matter where you get published, you have written an essay that has improved your thinking skills, writing skills, and everything else. Presentation increases confidence. You develop teamwork skills, something that most people lack these days. We work in salvos and as lone wolves, and that's not what we need in medicine. And then you, of course, boost your resume, and the opportunity to publish gives you an invigoration that you can only understand once you publish. But even to publish in good papers, you have failed 10 times, I can tell you. As a person who's published, you fail 10 times. You succeed once. And those failures you learn from. It's very disappointing, it's depressing, but it makes you a man or a woman. And that's exactly what life is all about. So I leave you with this thought from Thomas Edison. Many of life's failures are people who do not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. And I believe at Peradeniya we should not give up. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir, for that extremely thought-provoking speech. I'm sure that all those present here today have gained much from hearing those words of wisdom. We kindly request you to remain on stage to receive a small token of appreciation from Dean of Faculty of Medicine, Professor Vasantha Pinto.
Let it go up.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, madam. We now invite Dr. Manjula Pires, the Conference Secretary of PeMSARC 24, to deliver the vote of thanks.
I'm all right. Yeah. Again, one of the less liked tasks of the day, and something that is likely to keep you, maybe put you to sleep. But I would like to get the special permission of Professor Kemaldeen to do a change in the protocol. Now, the usual protocol for a vote of thanks is from the most important person in the gathering, and of course Professor Neelakanthi Ratnatunga, the two most important people in this gathering. I should mention what they have done for us today first. But with your permission, I would like to reverse this. I want to turn this upside down because of a very special thing that is happening today in the faculty. And it's something very special, and it's a bit of a surprise to you all. May not be a surprise, but it's something this came out of nowhere, an idea that came about. Now, why do we have to thank? Why do we feel the need to thank somebody? Is because humans have this unique feeling of gratitude. I don't know whether other animals feel it. Maybe your pets feel it at home if you give them something special. But humans have a feeling of gratitude. I mean, if somebody does something for you, even the least bit, you start some sort of endorphins secreted inside your brain, and you start feeling a sense of gratitude. And in civilized society, we look upon this feeling and try to perpetuate it. We put up plaques, we put up notices everywhere, commemorating events so that we can perpetuate this feeling of gratitude. And who do we feel this most towards, or who, my dear children, should you feel this towards? It's your parents. None other than your parents. We are here what we are because of all that work done since the day you were born, you were brought into this world, nurtured up to the Montessori, all that tuition that you have been taken to, all that transport, all that nurturing is why we are here today. As a mark of that respect, in this PeMSARC session, I suggested to the students that you invite your parents to a mini medical exhibition dedicated to those parents. To that effect, we have opened up the forensic medicine lab, the anatomy lab, and the department so that the parents can take a detailed tour. Now, the students are very, very cross with me for putting on more work than usual for them. But they asked me, now, if we are busy with the proceedings here, who is going to look after the parent? I told them, delegate it to the closest of your friend. Maybe your roommate can do the babysitting. So they will be given a tour by the students to all these nooks and crannies of the faculty, to the place where the children are growing up within the university, to see the grandeur of this place to which their offspring have achieved the right to be present for these 5 very important years. Now, in addition to that, I told them we had to give them tea. We don't have money for tea. 500 we are feeding. Okay, I said, if there is anything more, tell me how much it costs. It's my idea. Okay, fine, I'll pocket it out. So with that, the other staff members also said, yes, please, don't pocket it out on your own. We'll also contribute. That is the sense of dedication that we have for people who have put us in our place here. In addition to that, we also want to give them, for the first time in this faculty, a non-communicable diseases screening questionnaire. So we need money for that. We need glucose strips. No. You develop something of a questionnaire, a history and an examination sequence that you can apply to the population and trial it out here. So they are going to do that here. And I believe there is a cohort of patients who are coming into the faculty, and with a deep sense of gratitude for their presence and their untiring effort, we are in turn going to screen them as a model for non-communicable diseases and early detection of cancer for the first time in this faculty. So thank you for the parents, and thank you for the students who have been developing this protocol. So with that start, again, I would like to work my way in reverse. Who has been doing all the work here? It's the students. To make this a success, so I had to read this backwards now. Reading it upside down is not going to be all that easy. Start with the students of the executive committee. The student chair, you saw Nandarasa Ganesham, and he has led the student secretary, Devini Bandara. There is a long list of students' names which I have to mention. I'll just rattle through them. The student treasurer, Adit Vijayaratna. Student committee conveners, Zeenath Fasil, Melaka Jude, Sandaruwan Manavaduge, Miss Indivari Ratnayaka, Sasmitha Vaidyatilaka. Tatsara Hettiarachchi, Sachinta Hettige, Damkit Kumarnatunga, Miss Taranikulatna, Miss Anuki De Silva, Miss Tisari Valabage, Mr. Minura Kulasekara. All these kids we have been working with very closely over the past so many weeks or months, meeting after meeting, and with all this trouble with their curriculum, they have managed to, create this terrific event. And I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them as a teacher and an alumnus of this faculty. Secondly, I would like to thank the staff of the Dean's Office and the Technical Resource Center staff, the staff of the e-library, and all the other members of the non-academic staff. I know that even though there was an island-wide call to a strike and people were told to stay away, there were people who, I won't let the cat out of the bag, but they helped us in whatever way they could. My own technical resources team helped me. Even though people don't know about it, the Dean's Office staff quietly helped us sometimes in all these times of trouble. And the last minute, they were called upon to do the official work, so they have helped us. So a special thanks to them. The KSM President and the PeMSARC President, Dr. Manjula Herath and the committee, Professor Heshan Jayavira and the committee, they have been untiring in their contributions to this event with their presence and all their well-wishers, and of course the monetary contributions made by the PeMSA United Kingdom, who sponsored the entirety of the pre-Congress workshop. They gave us a lot of money, and we had a lot of good and productive time during the pre-Congress workshop. Now, we also thank all the reviewers of the research abstracts, the judges who are going to be present today in the research sessions, and of course all of you who have submitted abstracts, and of course the supervisors who spent hours and hours sitting with the students trying to teach them how to do research. Especially we have to thank the academic members of the Department of Community Medicine, all of them who have set this trend going for the last three years. They have kept the ball rolling. Of course, all the compeers who did today's services, the dancing teams who are our own kids, all they wanted was the costumes. They did a lovely job. Of course, the printers who helped us, the people like the Peradeniya Rest House, the Royal Mall, the cleaning staff, right, all that. Now that is out of the way, and I'll go to the most important members of this gathering. It is not that I want to, turn protocol upside down, but I felt that this is a more appropriate way of expressing gratitude. Of course, I have to thank Professor Kemaldeen for, he left Colombo, I think, at 10:30 last night, and maybe 10:45. He drove on his own. I said, sir, do you need driver accommodation? No, Manjula, I'm my own driver. Imagine doing 24 hours of colorectal work, seeing patients, and then coming in the middle of the night to grace this occasion and pull something out of a hat like that and impress us all. So thank you so much, sir, for your untiring effort. Madam Ratnatunga, what more can I say? I've already said most of what I should say, and I think I am so thankful for you for the entire lifetime of service that you have done to this faculty. Of course, our own Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lamavansa, as I said a couple of days ago, it's going to be a fair welcome. It's a farewell which we had for him, and then a welcome back to the faculty for him to take up his honors in the faculty again. So thank him for gracing this occasion. The next Vice-Chancellor, the incoming Vice-Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhujit, was here. I thank him for his presence today, because we are looking forward to working with him over the next 3 years. Of course, our tower of strength during the last very critical period was none other than Professor Vasanthi Pinto, who, what more can I say? She led from the front, the middle, and the back. That's all I can say. She was doing the work of all the staff members, including the non-academic staff, the electricians, the AC air conditioning and everything. She repairs an air conditioner pretty well, I think. She knows everything. She everywhere. right? And there is nothing but gratitude for her work over the last so many, how many years now. Right? So, of course, the special invitees, including the university officials, Professor Ratnatunga, and especially, and of course, Professor Samath Dharmaratna, and deans of the other faculties, Professor Kapila Gunardana, and so many of our teachers who I see in the audience, which I can't sort of start naming, right, one by one, but I have a terrific sense of gratitude towards what you have done for us, today as well as before. All the emeritus professors, the heads of departments, all the academic members, extended staff of the Faculty of Medicine, and of course the executive committee of the PeMSARC. I'm really sorry if I don't mention individual names today, but that is purely because of lack of time, because now you all are hungry and you probably want me to shut up now. So with all that sense of gratitude, let me wind up the proceedings for you. Thank you all for everything that has happened, for giving us a lovely experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those very kind words, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a kind reminder that the social evening of PeMSARC 24 will be held today from 6 p.m. onwards at the arcade area in the Paraclinical building near the Community Medicine Department of the Faculty of Medicine.
We assure you that this evening is going to be a fun-filled event with entertaining games, songs, food stalls, and yes, a DJ flow.
Don't miss out on it. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to conclude the inauguration ceremony of PeMSARC 2024, please rise for the pride of our nation, the national anthem.